Hello and welcome to another episode of Monticello Minute Unscripted. We're back for, this is season 3 of course, and we're diving into some new things and also covering some old things from last season. This is actually a special episode because this is going to be our waterfowl episode. We're going to cover everything about ducks and waterfowl because it's so important to this area. So many people love to go duck hunting and to observe the wildlife that we want to really dive in deep and talk to some people that are involved and know what's going on. And we're starting out with the main guy. You may recognize him from season 2, Dr. Doug Osborne. Welcome back to the show, Doug.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Just to recap, Doug was on last season and he was talking about waterfowl research, shed some light on the fact that right here in Monticello, we're one of the main research hubs for waterfowl behavior in the state of Arkansas. And he kind of foreshadowed that there were some big things coming, and today he's going to talk about those big things. Tell us a little bit about what's happened since the last time you were here, Doug.
Well, it was just a day or two after, I think, the last time I was here when the governor came down and we made the announcement on campus. There were 150 people probably on campus for the announcement of the Snowden Waterfowl Center of Excellence.
Unbelievable.
And so, we're excited about that. The Center of Excellence is very prestigious, sort of on university campuses, kind of a center hub. A lot of people, even since then, the other day I even had somebody come up and say, "Oh, congratulations on the new building." No, we're not building a building for the Waterfowl Center yet. We're building from the ground up. We got an endowment in place. We got people in place. We're pumping out research, hiring more students. And then hopefully it gets so big that we have to build a building. But at this point, we're building from the ground up, not from the top down. And
it was a huge announcement. I'm sure everybody saw it. The paper covered it well. UAM covered it well. Like Doug just said, there was so many people down. The governor herself come down. It was just a huge day and a huge moment for UAM and a huge moment for waterfowl research. And you have been named the administrator. What?
Yeah, so I'm the director of the center, but there's also an endowed chair position, and I'm also the chair of waterfowl and wetland research. And so I think as the program continues to develop and get bigger and more grants come in, and and hopefully additional full-time staff, hopefully more of me. That chair position will probably be handed down to another scientist, and then I'll continue as director.
So we've got the main guy here, right here in Monticello, Arkansas, when it comes to waterfowl research. So let's talk a little bit about that. Duck season's over. Of course, another good season, I'm assuming. A lot of people got to enjoy the activity of going out and breaking the ice and enjoying a great hunt. And now the work really gets started for research. Tell us a little bit about what happens in the next 30 days now that duck season's in.
Yeah, we get a little stint of research in the field on the front end of duck season. Okay. And then season comes in for 60 days and I can take a breath and go out and enjoy the hunt, which is what I grew up doing anyway, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing, is because I love the hunt. And so now, like you said, we're on the backside of hunting season, and I got another 30 days of duck season here.
And y'all are hitting the ground running, getting to work. Tell me about your staff. How many people are involved in this research?
So since the Snowden Center was announced, I have 3 full-time researchers on staff now, and finishing up a few grad students, but we just hired about 16 folks that'll be in the field with us all over the state, every corner from Texarkana to Jonesboro.
Wow, that's wide.
To McGee, all corners of the state, and even in the Arkansas River Valley up and around Jonesboro. And so we'll have teams all over the state catching ducks, banding them. This is an interesting cohort of ducks because these are ones that made it through the duck season and avoided the gun.
Gotcha.
And they get down here and we can catch them, band them, they go back to the breeding grounds, and then they come back next winter. So we can understand a lot of the ecology of a species during the non-hunting season by banding them down here. And so that's our intention. And
you and I were talking a little bit before the camera started rolling, and the banding process is an aluminum metal band that has information on it that you put on the duck that goes back with them. That, they come down during the winter to the south, and then they go back to their breeding grounds up north. And what you're trying to find out from doing this type of research is how much of the breeding is being affected by weather conditions, drought, that kind of thing. If you're losing a lot of the duck population because of hardships up north that they're running into, how many ducklings are hatching out. You're getting all this information and gathering it through this banding process.
Yes, sir. That's right. It's just a wealth of information. I mean, it truly is a career's worth. I already have a career's worth of information.
Wow. Okay.
And so that's why we need, I've hired 3 researchers, and they're all working on different research questions, but they're all using the same data, and we're coming up with so many new sort of
that's exciting.
Investigating, some of the different ecology of the
That's what science is about, learning new things. And I'm super proud that it's our university right here, Monticello, UAM. And our Monticello resident that is heading this up and leading the way. You told me about a few other things too, that you can put trackers and track some different stuff. Can you tell me a little bit about that technology?
Yeah, so I just had a shipment come in today. They come from out of Lithuania, but they're little backpack trackers. They weigh about 15, 18 grams. They go on the back of a duck. They have a harness that goes around their chest.
Wow, okay.
And we have birds with them that's had them on it for 3 years, flying back and forth. And so that tracking information just gives us a lot, because we can track them every hour or every 30 minutes. We can figure out where they're at.
Wow.
And they collect the location on the device, and every 24 hours, they just dump that data over a cell tower, just like a text message, and I can pull it offline. So I never have to catch that bird again, and we can really, truly watch where that thing's going.
If you see a bird wearing a backpack, just let it be. Don't mess with it. It's fascinating. The migration process is fascinating. How many miles and how much area these waterfowl are covering. I don't think people realize it. And this research and endowment is going to create so much information. I hope people, not only researchers like yourself, learn from it, but just common people tap in and say, I want to learn a little bit more about this. I want to learn a bit more about this migration and breeding process and how fascinating nature is and how fascinating these birds are.
Yeah, and one thing for the locals down here, we'd like to put these trackers out in November so they can fly around your hunting club and your land and your county all winter while you're hunting. And so that gives us a ton of information on how these birds are using different areas where these guys hunt.
So and that then helps the hunters too, yeah.
Yeah, so then what comes out of that is recommendations for managers. Say, hey, how do we hold more birds here for a longer period of time? Hey, this is what your data says. These are what your birds are doing.
That's right.
And so we learn from that. We make modifications to our management or our hunting pressure on our land to try to think about how you can improve your hunting on your property. And so it's been very successful.
If people that don't hunt, they may not realize what a mecca for duck hunting Arkansas is. There's people that come in from all over the place, all other states to come to Arkansas, because Arkansas is known for being such a great area for ducks to come to and to hunt. So that type of information, allowing these duck camps, duck lodges, even just your normal people who are hunting public land, to understand the patterns and know how to set up and how to hunt to be more successful. All that information is going to be right there ready to help them.
Yeah. Waterfowl hunting for the state is so important socially, and the hunter heritage is so strong here, right? So many generations of families have been duck hunters, and of course the economic behind waterfowl hunting in the state is essential.
Well, before I let you go, just real quick, tell us a little bit about your vision moving forward for what the endowment's going to be able to do at UAM.
Yeah, as a director, I'm going to continue to build. I'm going to continue to get more and more grants, and having this prestigious name behind us on this campus now. I had three phone calls over Christmas asking us to do projects for them. And so more funding came in on top of that. And so it just the more comes in, the more people I hire, the more students that are addressing questions. And the goal really is to build this program. So when I leave, there's 3 or 4 scientists and 20 students studying waterfowl, and you know.
Well, we hope you don't leave anytime soon. And thank you for doing what you're doing. Keep up the good work. We look forward to having you back on again, because this is going to be something that's going to continue to grow and continue to be a fascinating story for Southeast Arkansas, Monticello, UAM, waterfowl research. Thanks for coming on, and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
We're continuing on with our waterfowl edition of Monticello Minute Unscripted, and we've got a special guest in studio to talk about one of the main organizations that helps keep the waterfowl and the duck season and everything as successful as it can be, Mr. Trent Scogin. Welcome to the show, Trent.
Thank you for having me, Keith.
Now you're here to talk about Delta Waterfowl, and we're going to get into that. But before we get into it, I want you to tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So my name's Trent Scogin. I'm originally from Warren. Grew up in Warren, came over here, went to school at UAM, and graduated from UAM in 2004. And have been here ever since. So I guess I've been here longer in Monticello now than I was in Warren. So I guess I could be classified more as a Monticellonian now, I guess.
I guess so.
But my wife Megan and I have two kids, Mia and Mason, who are a 10th grader and 8th grader at Monticello schools. So anyway, that's who I am. And
it's like you say, you've been involved in the community for a long time. I've known you for a long time, and like so many other people that we have on here as guests, you know, now Warren's just right across the river, so you're right here, but you come to UAM for an education, and you just fall in love with the town, and you end up staying and raising a family and making it home. We hear that all the time. And of course, growing up in Warren, being part of Southeast Arkansas, you already had a large influence as far as duck hunting goes. And
sure.
We're going to have Logan Hancock in here a little later on to talk about duck calling and stuff. And we had Doug Osborne on at the beginning. And the theme that everybody seems to talk about is how duck hunting and waterfowl are such a big deal here in Southeast Arkansas. So if you could tell us a little bit about how you got into it, maybe how you started hunting, or got interested in waterfowl, and then what brought you to Delta Waterfowl?
Okay. Well, I mean, like most people here in South Arkansas, I grew up in the outdoors. My dad hunted. We started, when I was 12 or 13 or so. Really got into it pretty big at that point. We had a camp down at Johnsville there on the Saline River, and we hunted Felsenthal a lot. We pretty much primarily, we chased them around on public lands and had some of the finest waterfowl hunting at that time that probably existed in the world.
A lot of wildlife management areas.
100%
in Southeast Arkansas.
And they're so critical to providing winter, to wintering essentially the mallard population or the duck population in the South. The ducks are obviously bred and everything in the prairie pothole region, throughout Canada and the Dakotas and all, and then when they head south for their migration, this is where they're coming. So, we're a pretty important piece here in Arkansas in general for sure, but Southeast Arkansas as well, and we've got a lot of. We do have a whole lot of, we're fortunate to have a whole lot of waterfowl management areas through the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, as well as, National Wildlife Refuge System and all everything that's provided by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Felsenthal's a national.
Felsenthal's a national wildlife refuge.
We got Cutoff Creek and Seven Devils that are state maintained.
Those are state
waterfowl management areas, and just the name Delta Waterfowl. The Delta is so special to people who live here, and a lot of people come in from all over the country, maybe even all over the world, to hunt here because it's like you say, these ducks are making a large migration, and they're coming here, and they're coming to these places. You've been with Delta Waterfowl for how many years now?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
Yep. So.
And Delta Waterfowl itself has been in existence for how long?
Delta was originally started in 1911. So
Wow.
we pretty much
Over 100 years.
Yeah, long time. Pretty much started and spent the first part of the organization, was based as a scientific research. James Ford Bell started Delta Waterfowl in the original beginnings, and he was the owner of General Mills and everything back then, and obviously extremely well off.
Yeah.
On the financial side, and did a lot of great things with on the business side. So he was a very passionate waterfowler, and he had a goal. He set a goal. He loved shooting canvasbacks in Canada at the Delta Marsh.
Okay.
So he had a goal at the time. They kind of experienced some downturns in the population and saw the need to start trying to research it. And his goal was to put back 2 ducks for every duck that in the waterfowl population for every duck that he took. And so that's kind of how Delta Waterfowl started. And the idea, he hired some scientists at the time, one that everybody is extremely familiar with that probably don't know, but Aldo Leopold, who most people in the South, because of forestry and everything, have heard of Aldo Leopold. He's pretty much, widely accepted as the father of modern day conservation.
Well, that's what I was just going to hit on. 2 things that stick out when we're talking about waterfowl. And one is scientific study. Which Dr. Osborne was talking a little bit about earlier with the endowment the UAM has now.
Right.
And also conservation. You talk about he wanted to put 2 ducks back for every one he harvested. So conservation and science work are such a huge part of the waterfowl management. Tell us how Delta Waterfowl specifically works in those areas.
So Delta, our mission is pretty simple, but our mission is to produce ducks, habitat conservation to produce ducks, conserve habitat, and secure the future of waterfowl hunting.
So you work. Obviously, you work with the game and fish and public land, but you also work with private landowners, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of different things to make sure the ducks have the habitat they need.
Absolutely.
To come in, do what they need to do, as well as to make sure that the sportsmen and outdoorsmen are getting the hunts that they deserve to have.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, the lion's share of our research happens in the prairie pothole region, which is the duck factory, right? Okay. You'll hear, that's where the ducks are the most vulnerable. That's where the most mortality happens. The populations,
you want them coming out of there.
And a lot of them do. And that's one thing that we do. Our the 2 biggest programmatic works that we do for ducks is our hen houses, which is a overland nesting structure. So just basically a tube of grass and a flax grass and a wire that sits over the top of a wetland that allows that hen to nest inside that structure and not be off in the grass where the predators and everything are, they're not as near as vulnerable there as they are in that too.
That's so interesting to me, Trent, because when I brought you in here, obviously, I just assumed that most of the stuff that y'all work with happens in the Delta. But what you're telling me is so much of the work you do happens up north.
Absolutely, yeah. And to kind of tie that into local Monticello ties and kind of what you said, with talking with Dr. Osborne, and it's really neat because for hundreds of years, at this decades, all of the waterfowl research and everything has been mostly centered in the prairie pothole region, in the nesting grounds, right? Gotcha. And then they hatch and it gets cold and they head south, and nobody's really done a whole lot of research down here in the wintering grounds, right? So what Doug has made a real headway in the industry is doing all that research on the wintering grounds, right?
Gotcha, yeah.
Now it's The other thing that we're really big in is and it's probably the most important, in my personal opinion, is our predator management work.
Of course.
I mean, every time they're
If a duck lays an egg, there's something that wants to eat.
that's fixed to say. Every time a hen is sitting on a nest in Canada or in the Dakotas or wherever, there's a lot of animals out there on the landscape that are hunting, trying to find them. Love
to feast on those eggs.
And they get killed a whole lot more by them than they do by hunters. So So between the hen houses and the predator management, that's the lion's share of what we do to produce ducks.
Well, that's it sounds like a large organization with a lot of people working together for a common goal. Where do you fit in all this?
So I am the regional director for Delta Waterfowl for the state of Arkansas. Okay. So I cover the whole state. A lot of windshield time, but it's been really cool. I'm essentially the marketing representative for Arkansas for Delta Waterfowl, as well as the connection between all of our local chapters and the national level, right? And so, I go around and help these local chapters, fulfill their goals, raise money. That's obviously part of it.
We're going to talk about that in a minute, because that's very important.
And really cool. One thing that we do that's a little different than a lot of other conservation organizations and NGOs is 15 to 20% of the money that's raised by all of our chapters in Arkansas stays local. So when we have an event, when we have one here in CR, or our CR chapter is here, kind of our local chapter here to Monticello, and Angela Shink, Ed Shink, I know it's a lot of people, Mark and Gwen Robinson,
of course,
Scott Hayes. There's a lot of that crew's been doing it a long time. Yep. Have it in the men's club every first week of every December every year, kind of during the split actually of duck season. So
McGee Men's Club.
Yeah, the McGee Men's Club.
McGee Men's Club. Right there at you say first of.
It's usually the first Saturday in December, depending on how the calendar falls. But it's usually
that's the fundraiser. You buy tickets. I'm sure you have auctions.
Yeah, we have raffles, live auctions, silent auctions, all that. Really good night for conservation. And 15 to 20% of the money that's raised that night stays local. So the lion's share of the money goes to try to to the prairies to produce more ducks. And try to help the waterfowl population, and then there's also a portion of that funds they're called Waterfowl Heritage Funds, but our chapters are able to spend their Waterfowl Heritage Funds in their local community. So that's kind of another thing that kind of differentiates us.
Well, I know that's going to be a ways off before that fundraiser happens. So before I let you go, is there a website that people can visit if they want to learn more about Delta Waterfowl, or if they want to maybe make a donation or help fund the work that y'all are doing as far as conservation?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we've got our national website is www.deltawaterfowl.org. And then, of course, we're out there on all the socials. We're out, between Facebook and Instagram. TikTok, all the stuff. We have an Arkansas Delta Waterfowl page on Facebook as well. Most of our local chapters have a local Facebook for their chapters as well. And there's a link on our website where you can find an event. You can join. You can become a member. You can send in a request if you'd like to join a local chapter on the volunteer level and really dive in and get a little deeper and be a volunteer and help on the local level. So a lot of different ways to contribute.
Well, one of the reasons we decided to do a waterfowl episode was because we've got one of the foremost researchers in Doug Osborne. We've got the 3-time world duck calling champion in Logan Hancock. And we've got the representative for the entire state of Arkansas for Delta Waterfowl and Trent Scogin, all right here in Monticello, in our town. And we think that's pretty special.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on. I've enjoyed visiting with you, and I know our viewers are going to really enjoy learning more about waterfowl, Delta Waterfowl, conservation and management.
Well, as always, appreciate you having me.
We're back, and we're getting ready to wrap up our waterfowl episode. And of course, no waterfowl episode would be complete without bringing in Monticello's own World Duck Call champion, Logan Hancock. Welcome to the show, Logan Hancock.
Thanks for having me, Keith Wallace.
Now, I always mess that up. I can't say it correctly. Tell me you are a world champion when it comes to duck calling, correct?
That's right. The Wings Over the Prairie Festival in Stuttgart, Arkansas is held every November after Thanksgiving, Saturday after Thanksgiving. And they have the World's Championship Duck Calling Contest.
Okay.
And it's a contest where people come in from all over the country, Canada, Mexico, wherever they get qualified for the World. You have to win a qualifier to get in. And there's typically 60 to 70 contestants from all walks of life.
Well, a lot of people consider Stuttgart, Arkansas to be the duck capital of the world.
That's what they say.
And I know I've introduced you as Monticello's own, but you're originally from Stuttgart, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I moved there in about the 5th grade or so. And
for our viewers, tell us a little bit about yourself and about your family and your journey.
And born in Fayetteville, did some moving around, lived in Leland, Mississippi for a while, ended up in Stuttgart for 7 or 8 years, something like that, and graduated high school from there in 2004. Came to UAM in 2004 and got a GIS degree from University of Arkansas, Monticello, and I've been here ever since.
We hear that so much, that people come here to get an education at our university, and they love the town so much they just hang around.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. My wife and I, Sarah Jane, had her daughter Brooklyn here, and it's a wonderful community and a wonderful spot of the state.
Well, you're involved in the community. You and I have the pleasure of working with you at Sea Art Miracle League and several other things. You've always been a good ambassador for duck calling. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but we've got a lot of trophies right here that you were able to win through duck calling. 3 of them were actually world championships that you won at the World Champion Duck Calling or World Champion Duck Calling competition there in Stuttgart.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that process?
Yeah. So you've got 90 seconds to emulate a series of calls that you're pretending like you're calling ducks in from a long way away. You get them close. You almost get them to land. They get scared by something. You call them back and then you land them. And so you got 90 seconds to do that. And there's 5 judges behind the panel. It's blind judging. They don't know who you are. They just know you by number. Mm-hmm. And so you got 90 seconds to show them what you got. And there's 70 other guys up there trying to beat you. There's 3 rounds. They basically cut it in half each round, so 70 to 35 to 15 to 18, somewhere in there. And then they call out the top 10. And so I've made the top 10 a few times, and then 2015, they left me up there to the last one, and it's pretty cool. Never thought I'd win it, much less win it 3 times.
What years did you win?
So I won in 15, took a year off in 16 of winning that was. I still competed, and then I won in 17 and 18.
And of course, you didn't just wake up one day and become a world champion. This was something you worked at for a decade or better.
Yeah. My first contest, I think, was 2005, Arkansas State. And then from there, I traveled the country. I've been as far as Michigan to try to qualify. And
I've seen your support, for the kids, to keep the sport growing, to keep it alive. Here a few years ago, you were up at Pauline during the Wild Game Supper and had a group of kids and were just giving them kind of the 101 about duck calling, and you've been a good ambassador. You've went back and you've judged, I believe, and you've been a part of that because you want kids to carry it to the next level. It seems to be working because I believe the 2025 champion is still a teenager.
Yeah.
So there's a good bit of interest in the youth to keep it going. And people who may not understand duck hunting and waterfowl, the reason duck calling is such a big part of it, and of course we had Doug Osborne and Trent Scogin already on talking about it, is you got to bring those ducks in. You know, the ducks don't just come to you. You got to bring them in. You got to call them in. And using that call and making the right sounds to emulate whatever you're trying to do, that's an important part of it. So that's why the duck calling is such a huge deal in Stuttgart, Arkansas, and around the world.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's crazy how big that town gets during duck season in general, but that week right there on Thanksgiving, it's tens of thousands of people show up for the different things, and it's a wonderful thing for that community. A lot of good volunteers put that on every year, and I got to see it firsthand growing up in Stuttgart. And then now, after being retired from the sport, you can only win 3 world titles. And so I think I'm the 8th person to get retired, forced into retirement, I think at 34 or something like that.
That's incredible, man. That's and it's not just in Stuttgart. You talked about qualifiers. These duck calling competitions happening all over the country and all over the world.
That's right.
And you competed in another one in Memphis shortly after you won your 2nd or 3rd world championship, wasn't it?
It was after my first one.
After your first one, okay.
This trophy here, I don't know if y'all can see it. That won that in 2016, and it was something that Bass Pro put on. And it's about the same people that were going to be in Worlds, but it was what you call an open. And so there was past world champions, champions of champions, just about 60 people in that. And I was fortunate enough to walk away with that trophy there. And man, there's just a lot of good memories, and you meet so many good people. And my family and friends have been a huge support to me, and I'm blessed.
You know, duck calling got a kind of a notoriety with Duck Dynasty and several of those shows that really caught on. So it's a sport that kind of rose to a lot of fandom in there, and I think it's pretty special. I don't know any other world champion duck callers except you, and here you are in our hometown. You know, right here in Monticello, that we can claim 3-time champion.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what's happening in Brand, Logan, Hancock. You know, what's happening right now with you? Do you still have some connections or still have some stuff going on with duck calls?
Man, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to create a contest call. And what I say by that is, one, a call that you're going to use in this contest in Main Street. And that call needs to be really special. It needs to be dialed in just right. And I believe that I know what it takes to create one, and working, and going to try to come out with my own contest call.
Nice.
And I need something else on my plate, but you know,
I understand.
I'm looking forward to this journey. It's in its infant stages right now. I don't know a lot on timelines, but hopefully in the very near future, we'll have something, prototypes and that sort of thing. And
well, you talked about having a lot on your plate, and that's going to be for another day, because I plan to have you back on to talk about the business that you're part owner in here in Monticello, that I also think is fascinating. It's a lot of people don't even realize we have an airport in Monticello, but we do have an airport here in Monticello, and your business operates out of that airport. And we're going to bring you back on at a later date, and we're going to talk more about that, because I think it's something that is unique and fascinating to Monticello, Arkansas. But for the time being, we'll just let you go as the 3-time world duck calling champion, Logan Hancock. And thank you for being on this Waterfowl episode. And we look forward to the next time.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me. Appreciate your time, and I appreciate this show highlighting the good things in this community. It's a wonderful thing.
Well, thank you.
Yes,
I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
We're excited here at Monticello Minute Unscripted to have our sponsors, Monticello Chevrolet GMC, Arkansas Superior Federal Credit Union, and the Woods, a Nightingale community. We thank them for their support and for making this broadcast possible.